Hello, I'm Barb Cedergren, and I'm inspired by people who help in the community with children who would not otherwise have a good foundation.
All right, and welcome to the Lantern Podcast out of Good Cause Productions at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. This show is produced and promoted by students right here at UWGB, and I am your host, Dr. Ryan Martin, and we have another fantastic guest for you today. She's been dancing since she was 3 years old at studios across Wisconsin and even in Chicago, but her childhood dream was to own her own dance studio. In 1985, she accomplished that dream by opening Barb Center for Dance, where she serves as both the owner and director of dance instruction. In the last 40 years, Barb Center for Dance has become one of the largest and most respected studios in the state of Wisconsin, with locations in both Green Bay and Appleton. Please welcome Barb Cedergren.
For me is just to make a difference in the lives of others. That has always been my goal since I was little, just to make a good impact. Even if, my thing is like, even if you can reach one person, you've done something special. And for me, I'm just always inspired, especially with anyone who works with children who they don't even have a chance in life. That is just so important to me. And as a child growing up too, my life was very difficult. So it's just been such a blessing to be able to use my talent to help other people in our community. Like we're so involved with like Rawhide and Willow Tree, those people that work with those children every single day. It's just amazing, like what they do. And, those children, they don't even have a chance in life without people like them being able to help support them and give them a good foundation.
Yeah. So let's go. I want to talk about that stuff, but I want to start with something you just said about, because here's the thing. We've known each other for a while, but we've never really sat down and talked about things. And so here's what I know. I know that you danced when you were young.
Yes.
I know that you always wanted to own your own dance studio. And then for the last 40 years, you've been owning and running a dance studio.
Right.
I don't know much about your journey other than that. So
yeah, well, it's quite a journey. It's a long journey, but a wonderful one. I grew up with parents that were divorced. My father was an alcoholic and was on drugs and all that stuff. So growing up, we had absolutely no money, nothing. So my mom, she just made so many sacrifices so I could dance. She knew at the young age of 3 that I just loved to bop around, and she herself also had a really hard childhood, so she always said that I'm going to give my children what I didn't have. And she just saw that at a really young age that I had just an inspiration for dance and music and all that stuff. So she really is the one who, if I didn't have her sacrifice every single day of my life as a young child, I wouldn't be where I am today. We just, we barely had enough money for food on our table, and she just made sure that I had a place to dance all the time. She would work hard. I just even remember her at probably like I would say like middle school age. My dad was not supportive of dance at all. So she would have to, steal money out of the grocery money and tell him like, oh, the bill was like, whatever. And so she could take that money and support me in dance. So that's why my heart is so I have to give back, because without that foundation, without her and her sacrifice that she made for me, I just wouldn't be where I am today.
So you started dancing when you were 3, it sounds like.
3, yes.
What were
yeah.
the styles you
Back then, it was just like what we do with our little ones now at Barb's.
Okay.
It's just tap and ballet. So I started with that, and then as I got into like middle school and high school, is like where I just like I loved it. I could eat, sleep, dream, dance is all I wanted to do. So she would make it possible for me to go to like Chicago and study there, Milwaukee, or whatever I could do to get more than what was offered in Green Bay. So as a child, I never had the chance like for competition or any of that
Right.
stuff, and I was so driven that I always thought if someday I didn't go the professional route, if I opened up a dance studio, that I would make sure I would offer that for my students because that was something I always wanted to do. And so, we just...
So, studio opens in 1985. Is that correct?
Right. And then, so my mom, I had plans on I was going to go to college. But it happened where I worked under a studio owner who sold her business to somebody else. And so then I ended up working for her for a little bit. And then my senior year, that summer, she said, she was from Racine, and she said, I'm not going to be coming back. So she said, you're such a good instructor. Do you, I'll give you a list of names and you can go from there. And so I was just like torn. I wasn't sure, like, oh my goodness, now is my chance. This has been a
Right.
dream of mine for a really long time. And so, of course, my mom's like, you have to, life is short, just go for it,
Okay.
So I started with like 60 students.
Oh, wow.
And
That feels like a lot to start with.
yeah,
but it's-
it really isn't to pay the bills.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
just,
that's fair, yeah.
Yeah. So I literally had, first of all, my mom made me make her promise. Like, you have to give it 5 years.
Okay.
You have to give it 5 years. You can't give up. You just, no matter how hard it is, you have to bust through those 5 years. So I made a promise with her that I would absolutely give it 5 years. And those 5 years were, holy cow, they were hard. So I worked like 3 other jobs to pay for the studio. The first year, maybe it was the first 2 years, I didn't even have a phone line. I couldn't afford the $22 a month for a phone line. So then everybody had to call my house, which was complete chaos because my parents had gone through divorce, and it was just like, I don't even know how I got a phone call, a phone call from anybody. So yeah, it was really, really tough. And then, there's times even within that 5-year period that it was like, oh gosh, like this is, I bit more than I could chew. But it's just funny how like, I just knew like God wanted, like this was my purpose in life. I just knew it as a young kid, like deep down inside. And it was like the 4th and 5th year, all of a sudden I could see, the growth. I didn't have to, I could cut back and only work 2 jobs and, that kind of thing. And it's just been, I think it was what, I know that it was what God had intended me to do for my life, because he has blessed me so much. Now we have, 40 years later, we have 2 huge locations with 5 studios going at once. So there's 10 studios going. We have multiple phone lines going all the time.
Right.
So when the phone rings, it just kind of makes me smile, because I think back to the struggle I had, and now we're like one of the largest studios in Wisconsin. My husband, many, many years ago he had a professional job and had to leave that to run the business part of it, because I just could not do everything, the teaching, the business part of it, so
How many students do you have now?
We're just under 1,000 with both locations. Yeah.
That's amazing. So from 60 to 1,000.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's been a journey, but it's been a wonderful journey. And I think I am so thankful, and I thank God every day that I had it hard when I was young, and it was so tough, because that's what made me who I am today. And just, it creates more depth. And even now in life, like whenever anything is hard, it's just like, good, it's, what are you trying to teach me? And I'm just going to learn from it and just try to be better and do better. And that's what I like to do with like our students, is inspire them. If I can inspire one dancer to say, hey, if I can make it, you can make it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I suspect I know the answer to this, but one of the things whenever I talk to people about their story, I'm always curious about the sources of support they had along the way. Like, who were the people who were
Right.
really there for them?
Yes.
I suspect one of those people is going to be your mom.
Absolutely. It was my mom and my aunt, my Aunt Nancy, like she, oh my gosh, as a young kid, if I couldn't afford something, she was always there to pay for it for me. It just kind of chokes me up because, and I think that's why my heart is so big. Like when I work with Willow Tree and, that kind of thing, like it to see, like, kids, people always have there's always people that have it worse than you. There's people that'll have it better than you, but just if I can give one person a chance in life, oh my gosh, that just makes my heart so happy.
Yeah. Well, I know we should talk about every year the holiday show, which I know is oftentimes supporting organizations like the ones you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. So that is really important to me. And like what I like to stress with our students all the time is, you have such a gift. Do you realize that it's a gift? Do you realize? And I just talked to the teams, before we competed this weekend, and I said, make sure you thank your parents because I don't think they just, and I even say to him, I think we kind of take things for granted, don't we? And, they wouldn't had, but parents have to sacrifice a lot. And especially now with, just the competitiveness and the competitions, there's so many and it's so expensive. And I want them to make sure they understand, more than just coming into class and taking class. And then use your talent, use what we have to help others and to, so that's why we do the holiday shows is so the students can see what, and I'll give them stories of like, like what you get to go home to at night. These children don't get that. This is why you're dancing. Let's make a difference. Let's use our talents to bless other people. So I just like to instill that in their heads. And it really is beautiful because like I have college kids now that come home and they say, hey, I just volunteered for this or that in school because you taught us like, how important it was to do that. So if I can really, really reach our students and every year just be pounding that in their head, like you get to do this.
Right.
Let's use that.
Yeah. Do your kids dance? Just out of curiosity.
I have two boys.
Okay.
They did a little bit when they were younger, but of course they like sports better. Preston lasted a little bit longer. He did compete a little bit, and then again, he had a chance to really use his gifts and talents with golf and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the competition this weekend because I was there too.
Yes.
And it was so, I don't know if listeners know this, but I have a son who dances at Barb Center for Dance.
Yes, Reese. He is such a special boy.
Oh,
that boy is so special.
Good.
He's so talented.
Oh
my goodness.
I of course think so too.
Yeah.
But he, it was so much fun being there this weekend. And I think the thing that I'm always struck by when I go to these is just how enormously talented these kids are. It's really pretty spectacular to watch.
It is mind-blowing. And then every year it just gets, what I always tell the kids, we work as hard as we can and we do the best we can, and then you have to let it go, because there's always somebody better. And, and just the talent, like you said, is incredible. You feel like you're watching like something on Broadway sometimes. And it's just the level. And then every year it just keeps getting more and more and more. And just like, oh my gosh, and so what we can do is just the best we can do with the amount of time. And already our students, well, like Reese, what does he dance, 15 to 20 hours a week? It's like a part-time job. So it's not just dance, really. I mean, they are learning a skill, and they are just incredible athletes.
They really are. And it was funny because I have family who live all over the country, and a big part of what I did over the weekend was just text them right before every dance to say he's about to dance, so they can watch the live stream, and they love it. My mom watches pretty much every dance of Reese's, and so does my sister-in-law and all that. So they love it, but. I was thinking over the weekend how much I want to make sure that they can come to a competition at some point, because there's something spectacular about seeing it in person.
Oh my gosh. I think it's so much more powerful. When you're in it, it just feels like that energy that they're dancing is just smacking you in the face. It's just incredible.
And I think that, and I really see this when I'm there too, the community of kids supporting one another.
Oh my gosh.
Both when they're on stage, but
and
also backstage. And
and especially like our boys, they're so special. All the girls are special too, but those boys, we don't have quite as many. And like Reese and the other boys, they are such good role models for our younger boys, and when I see them just encouraging them, and Barb's is just one big family. We really are. The kids, like all the students, not just me, but the instructors, we feel like they're our kids, and I think we spend more time with them than parents do. But they're just so special.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, what you see from those kids and the way they're cheering each other on, the way they're supporting each other, and and how much fun they have just hanging out in between dances, and all that is really something special.
Yeah, I think too, like our students, just looking back to these friendships are like. Not just friendships, they're like lifelong friendships. And we have students now that were our students that are parents that bring their kids here, and they're still like best friends, like of people that they've danced with. So it's just like our tagline, it's more than just dance. It really is. Our studio really does have a strong bond, and we just have amazing instructors too that just love our students like their own. I want to talk about them too, because that is another piece that I think they're so important in the kids' lives. Tell me a little bit about how you find the people you find. Oh my gosh. Well, it was always my dream, like, when we would go to Chicago, Minneapolis, there's just so much talent there. And when we first started, I would say to myself, I want to be like that someday. That's my goal. And so I would just, reach out to just people in the dance world, and Samantha, she was one of our choreographers that we would have come in for years. And every time she was here, I would say to her, if you ever want to come and live in Green Bay, we would love to have you. And so it took like probably, very many years to, convince her to come, because she's from Vegas and danced professionally, and then worked at a big studio there, so, and that life is just, so much bigger than Green Bay, Wisconsin, so to find really qualified, amazing instructors, it's hard. And then she agreed to finally come here, and that was our ticket, because she could take us from, here to here. She could take us to that level that I always wanted to be at, because that just wasn't my gift. My gift was to get kids to a certain level, and then she can take them from there. And then, of course, then she knows people, and then, that's who we got Shauna in from as well. And just we have an amazing ballet director, Miss Jen, so and just so many amazing teachers, our whole staff. We've got a huge staff, and each one of them is so special, and each one of them brings so much to the table. And I think that's what makes us really unique, and just because we all have different strengths and weaknesses that we just balance each other out so well.
So as a leader and as a person who's, trying to continue to foster this community, what are some of the things you do to support your instructors and trying to help them be successful?
I try to help. I let them be as creative as they can be, because they all have such special gifts that I would never want to squash any of that, because that's what makes every single dance unique and special. The only thing I do is give them guidance of just I'm very, very careful of that line you cross, because sometimes the dance world can be suggestive or that kind of thing. And so that is really important to me, that the dancers are clean, and so that they know from me is number one. Sometimes I have to remind them, because we get in the Chicago atmosphere and stuff, and sometimes even our students think that's okay, which that isn't for me. So that's the only real guidance I give them. And they're all as competitive as I am. I am probably one of the most competitive people in the world. And I even share this with the students, I get it, but there's that line that you have to be careful, just you can be competitive and have all the drive you want, but don't let that define who you are as a person, and I just stressed to them before we went to competition. Now, you dance as hard as you can. When you get off stage, you feel really good about that. Don't let that score punch you in the stomach and define, that doesn't define who you are as a person. You do the best you can. The thing in the dance world, judging is all an opinion. It's not like a sport or, so I have to constantly instill that in them, that you do the best you can do. That's all we can do. And, have fun and the experiences and all that is what's going to take them in life. All these hard, when they feel like they get punched in the stomach, don't use it as, okay, how can I grow from that? And it will, everything the students are learning as young adults are just amazing tools that they can take with them in life and use it, because they're going to use everything that they're learning now, the hard work, the teamwork, all that they're going to use in life. With whatever they pursue or whatever they want to do.
That's the thing I was thinking about this weekend is approximately 90 solos on Saturday, I think, right? Just in the senior section, right?
Right.
And these are all extraordinarily talented
I don't know
kids.
how they decide.
From some of the most talented dancers across the Midwest, right? And in that age. And how do you, ultimately, when it comes to things like placing and it comes to that, I mean, you're really talking about the number one kid. I mean, the person who takes first by that. I mean,
they're spreading hairs.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they're It just feels, to your point, it just feels so difficult to place amongst such an elite group of people.
It is so hard, and that's what I try to just really, like I said, instill in the kids. You go out there, you've put in the work, you've put in the time. Just work as hard as you can, and don't let the score define who you are as a person. We get the critiques back from the judges, take those, take them home, study them, and that's all we can do, because it's an opinion of somebody, and I think our staff really does prepare the students very well, technically, emotionally, everything that we can give our students, we do, and we hope that they just use those tools when they're competing. And
I want to go back to some stuff you talked about at the beginning about some of the challenges you had when you were young.
Yes,
at a certain point, it sounds like one of the skills you developed was the ability to sort of, maybe it is that competitiveness that you talk about.
And the drive. I've always had, I'm a very intense, driven person. And I have a lot of energy. So I think, it's just a really good gift that God gave me, is that drive. And just a heart for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And I love what I do. It's like my mom always used to say, just do something that you love,
Right.
and then when you do that, you don't even work a day in your life. I mean, it's hard. And I've had some very difficult challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And every year, there's always new challenges.
Right.
But that has just, all the challenges I've had the 40 years have just developed me into the person I am today. And I'm such a people person too. I love people. And I've just learned a lot about people and just about that you can't please everyone. And we at Barb Center for Dance do the best job we can do, and that's all we can do. And we're not going to please every single person that's out there, and that's okay, and Barb's isn't for everybody either, so we just try to do the best we can and love on all the kids that are with us. Yeah.
What are your hopes and dreams for Barb's next? What are the things you'd like to see happen with it?
I'm so competitive. So just like, at competition, we did very well. We placed very well, but it's still like my drive is to like, okay, you see those studios, that energy level they have, we have energy, but no, we're gonna get there, and we are so good in, this area and like the smaller competitions and stuff like that. We do really, really well. But that's why we'd like to go to where it's hard, because if they constantly are at the top, they just think, oh, we're so good, we don't need to improve. But you get them out there in the real world where it is tough. And like just even going to nationals, that level of dance is hard.
Right.
And it just, it shows them that, there's more out there, and who's hungry for it? Who wants it? If you're hungry, you can do it.
Right.
The sky is the limit. You just have to have the drive. And sometimes those students that we have had that don't necessarily have all the talent, but they have the drive and the determination, end up just skyrocket, surpassing the kids that have the natural ability and the talent and are just kind of sometimes lackadaisical. They just don't use it to the fullest. Those kids that just want it and are hungry, pass them right up. Yeah.
So let's shift to the 3 questions that I ask every guest.
Yeah.
So I want to start with who is it? And I think I might know the answer here, but who is it you hope you're inspiring?
I just want to inspire my students every single day, my teachers, my staff. I just want to inspire anybody that God puts in my path. Anything I can do to be an inspiration. And that's why I said, like before, I am so thankful I had the difficulties I did as a child. Because if I can do it, anyone listening out there can do it. That you can do it. You just put your mind to it and you just go get it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What is a book, a movie, a TV show, something like that really was important to you that you want to share with other people?
The most inspiring book for me is the Bible. I cannot leave the house without spending my time with Jesus. It's every tool a person needs to live their life. And I just always want to just live how Jesus wants me to live and do his work. And I just, I can't live without it. That's my tool that I use every morning.
All right.
Yeah.
What is a piece of advice that maybe you got when you were growing up or that you would have for someone who hasn't found their way just yet?
I would inspire anyone who do what you love, find out what it is, everyone, God gives us all gifts. And what is that gift that inspires you? What do you really like to do? Sometimes you have to just step out and do whatever. Just try all different things because you find out really quick what you don't like to do.
Yep.
And then you just, just keep trying and don't get discouraged, especially young people. I think just out of college and stuff, it's so scary and you're not sure what you want to do yet,
Right.
Don't get deflated by that. Just take your time and, there's a big world out there. Just keep stepping out because pretty soon, usually, sometimes for me, even it would be things I least expected. Like that's where the next door opened for me, so you just have to just keep trying things.
Yeah, that a super good message for a lot of our students, I think, which is try those things.
Right, right.
I had so my background's in psychology, right? And
Yeah.
I remember once a student doing an internship, and she was out working at a school, and she came to me one day and she said, I don't think I like this. And she said,
Right,
yeah, and
right.
she said, I don't think I want to do
Yeah,
this.
right.
And, she said, I'm going to obviously finish the internship, but I think I'm
Right.
going to change career trajectory at this point.
Right.
And, that's an important lesson to learn. You want to learn it then.
Learn it right away.
Yeah.
Right. Just go out and try all different things. Right. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What haven't I asked that I should have? Anything we should have talked about that we didn't
Oh
yet?
gosh, I don't know. I think we covered. Yeah, I just want to inspire anybody who's listening that just doesn't feel like they have a purpose in life. Yes, you do. You do have a purpose. God has a purpose for all of us, and just search what that is. Take your time and just go get it. Don't be afraid. Just step out of the boat. Get out of the boat. And sometimes it's rocky and it's scary, but life is so short. So just go out and just make a big difference in the world. That's just what I hope I can
Nice.
do, is just make a difference.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Where can people find out more about you, about Barb Center for Dance? Obviously, there's Barb's website.
Yeah, Barb's website. We're on Instagram, Facebook. The website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love Barb's Instagram. I always enjoy.
Oh my gosh.
It's fun to watch. I just always love watching the performances and things like that are shared there.
Oh,
So,
good. Well,
yeah.
Reese is such a blessing. Your family's a blessing to us.
Oh,
And
It's
yeah,
it's been really amazing for us and for him. Just watching his dance career from when I think back to, we started Reese at the YMCA when he was 2, I
Oh my
think,
God.
maybe even honestly,
Oh,
maybe even
Reese.
younger. Yeah.
Oh,
I remember bringing my dad to his quote unquote recital when he was
Aw.
1, and Reese sat there with his hand in his mouth
Right,
for the
right.
entirety. But no, he's been. I actually honestly, I don't remember how old he was when we started with Barb's.
he's
but
been forever. It just seems.
this was
Yeah.
something I was thinking about a lot this weekend. Actually,
Yeah.
at the competition this weekend, I think because I knew you and I were going to be talking
Yeah,
today,
yeah.
I think I started sort of looking at everything through a slightly different lens as I was thinking
Right,
about
right.
stuff, and thinking about. I mean, here Reese is dancing in front of an audience of like 1,000 people.
Oh my
you know,
gosh. Yeah.
and he's been doing that since he was like 5.
Right.
And what kind of confidence that must instill. I mean, I
Oh
don't
my
remember the
gosh.
first time I spoke to an audience that big, but,
Right.
but it wasn't when I was 5, right?
Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
and so to have him have that experience, and I don't know if you remember this or if you knew this, but we actually we got our youngest involved for 1 year. He did hip hop with Reese. They're about the same age.
Yes. Yes.
And part of it was because he had pretty bad stage fright, and we thought this is a way that
Yeah,
he can
right.
learn to deal with that. And dance was never his thing.
His thing. Right.
But what is interesting is that about probably 3 years later, he actually on his own signed up to do show choir at school.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
for that same reason, he said, like, this is part of how I deal with the stage fright.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
amazing.
so
Yes.
it is. I was thinking about a lot of that over the weekend about just the skills these kids are developing that are really valuable as dancers, but are just really valuable.
Oh, good humans.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's my number one thing is not, only creating good dancers from Barb Center for Dance, but that they're good humans,
Right.
good human beings. And let's, teach them life skills rather than just coming in the dance studio and they can do triple pirouette. Like, well, that's all great and everything, but if you're not a good human being, what is
Right.
that? Nothing. So.
I think that was one of the things I thought about over the weekend. So, at each awards this weekend, they would bring the seniors up,
Right,
and they asked them, what are you going to do next?
Right.
And one of the things that I was really interested by, and I'm interested in this as a dean, right?
Right.
Very few of those kids are planning on going on to be
Right.
professional dancers.
I think we have one.
Yeah. Yep.
Out of like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all amazing. They
Yeah.
all could go on to
Yep.
dance, but but everything they learned as through Barb's, and most of our dancers started when they were 3 and then just continued up, and the skills they've learned, not just in dance, but like the life skills, have just been, I think, incredible. And
Yeah.
they're all such incredible human beings. Every single one of our dancers,
Yeah.
they're just amazing people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is fantastic. Thank you
Yeah,
so
you
much
are
for
so
taking time to
welcome.
talk with me.
Thank you for
Yeah.
taking time to talk with us. Yeah,
Great.
thank you.
Thanks. All right, I'm here again with Kennedy Punky. How's it going, Kennedy?
I'm pretty good. It's really nice out today,
It is
so I'm
beautiful.
feeling great.
Yeah, it is beautiful. You are wearing a short sleeve shirt that we have
I
to
am.
talk about.
I
So
am.
yes, it is beautiful out today, hence the short sleeve shirt. But I have to ask you about the Tennessee
course.
label there. So
Of course,
what's
of
happening?
course. So I went to Nashville, Tennessee, and I got this at Morgan Wallen's
Okay.
bar restaurant. He's a Tennessee fan, so I got this shirt. But recently I've been actually looking into going to grad school at
Okay.
UT Knoxville, so should be fun. I'm a huge weather nerd. I
Okay.
love severe weather. I love storm chasing. So the South
Really?
is good for that
Yeah.
area, and they have a broadcast meteorology degree there. So
And that is what you are interested in, it sounds
yeah,
like?
catch me on TV
Yeah.
alerting you about a tornado coming to your house.
Excellent.
In a nice way.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
So
Very, very
yeah,
cool.
trying to manifest getting in there. But
Getting in
we'll
there
see.
by wearing the T-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, hopefully I can look back at this video and be like,
See,
I'm there.
it all started.
Yeah,
I
we'll
bought the
see.
shirt.
Exactly, exactly. Speaking it into existence.
Yeah. Well, very good. Well, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for you.
Yeah, thanks.
And I'm also going to hope that the work you have done here helped pave
Yeah.
the way for that
For sure.
opportunity. So,
For sure. We'll see what happens.
yeah, regular listeners know you have been editing and recording
Mm-hmm.
podcasts for us. In the other order, actually, recording and then editing
Yes,
podcasts
that's
for
how
us.
it works. Yeah.
For the last year, you have been fantastic. I don't know how many episodes we have left with you, but I am deeply, deeply, deeply thankful
So
for
fun.
all of them.
Yes,
So, yeah,
thank you. I'm grateful to be here too.
good. And people can, where can people learn more about you and your work and stuff like that?
My work.
Yeah, they can find
oh
you on
my
LinkedIn,
Goodness,
right?
yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. Kennedy Punky, KENNEDY PUNKE.
Excellent.
On LinkedIn, Instagram. Those are the main ones. But
Perfect.
LinkedIn, I'm an avid LinkedIn user.
All right.
More than the average college kid,
Excellent.
probably.
That's good. That is really good. All right,
Yes.
good. And people can find out more about me at Anger Professor on all the places, right? LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc.
I always say if we're not on something, let us know, and we
Yes.
will make sure to
Very
get
good.
on it.
Good. All right. And you are ready to read the outro?
Yes, sir.
All right. Take us home.
The Lantern is brought to you by Good Cause Productions at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. The executive producer is Ryan Martin, and the production manager is Amanda Wildenberg. The engineer for today's episode is Ethan Schulke, with support from Kennedy Punky. And that music you love so much was arranged by our very own Michelle McQuaid-Dewhurst. Special thanks also to our guest Barb Cedergren. If you haven't already, please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Keep being amazing.